When LG left the mobile market, questions were who is going to take their place? Well, now we have the answer, and the company is a surprising one. Hi, welcome to Zgadgetreview. When LG announced that they were exiting the mobile market, it came as a huge surprise to a lot of people. They have been working very hard in doing innovative design for mobile devices, and they had a roadmap that showed that they were going to come up with things that were not available in the market at the time. One of those things was the rollable phone. The LG rollable was this mythical device that was supposed to come out and that could have turned things around for LG. But they changed their mind and decided that they weren't going to release the device at all. And so they closed shop when it came to mobile devices. The question at the time was, who is going to fill the void that LG is leaving? There's many mobile companies who aren't Samsung or Apple who were vying for that spot. Well, we finally have an answer, and that is none other than Motorola. Motorola has become the third largest OEM. So Motorola has become the new LG. And one could say that they're actually doing a better job than LG could ever do in the mobile space. Motorola's sales more than doubled in 2021, growing over 131% year over year. This propelled them to the number 3 spot within cell phone manufacturing companies. As we know, Apple and Samsung are the leaders when it comes to sales in the mobile space. They're also obviously leaders when it comes to premium devices. But there is a spot that Motorola has carved themselves within the US market. And that is the, I will say, lower price devices. And that will be 400 or less price of that mobile market. In that market, they are number 2 in the US, beating some of the bigger players. And this means that Motorola is growing in ways that no one could have ever imagined. Right now, Motorola owns over 10% of the US market. And that is one of the reasons why I say it is something that no one was expecting Motorola to do. Motorola, if you weren't aware, was a US brand of cell phones, a cell phone maker in the US. And they were pretty much the leaders at the very beginning. Then eventually Motorola, fell out of favor like companies do, and the brand was bought by Lenovo. So Lenovo is the owner of Motorola right now. But they've been able to work this brand into slowly selling devices that are not necessarily the best, super packed with tech devices, but devices that do a good job within the mid-tier device or mid to lower tier devices. So if you're looking for a device that's cheap and you want something that is going to be reliable, a Motorola device is a pretty good device to get. And that's kind of where they made their business. Proof of that is that they're number 2 in the US market on that segment. But also they've been working towards fighting Samsung in the Android market by releasing foldable devices like the Motorola Razr, which is a foldable device that might not be the best and greatest at what it does, and comparing it to Samsung is kind of unfair due to resources and all those things. But there's still a foldable device at an affordable price by another company that isn't Samsung. And one could argue that Motorola is kind of the only company in the US besides Samsung that sells a foldable device. What I see here is a pattern of where they have already broken into the mid to low tier segment, and now they're working their way into the premium segment. And as much as Motorola might have been discounted in the past, I wouldn't discount them now, because I'm sure they're going to bring another Razr phone, if not this year, next year, with better specs and everything to compete especially now that they have a bigger share of the market. And this also is going to create brand recognition. To that effect, we have recent leaks of premium phones from Motorola that should be making their way into the market later this year. One of them is codenamed Frontier, which is going to be selling as the Edge 30 Ultra. This device is going to come packed to the gills when it comes to tech in order to once again compete with Samsung, I will say Google, and other premium devices. It is going to come with chip SM8475, which is the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 Plus. It is going to have a 6.67 inch 144 Hz OLED screen. It's going to support 8 gigs to 12 gigs of RAM. And not only that, but it's also going to support 50 watt wireless charging. That sounds pretty premium to me. The main selfie camera is going to be a 60 megapixel camera. The main camera on the back is going to be 200 megapixels, a 50 megapixel ultra wide camera, and a 12 megapixel telephoto lens. It is going to have optical image stabilization. It's going to have two different storage capacities, 128 and 256. That battery is expected to be 4,500 milliamp hour battery. And yes, I know that specs are not usually everything because software and how the software uses those cameras and things like that matter a lot on the final product. But we still have all this power that Motorola is bringing to their devices that could put them over a Pixel device and a Samsung device due to pricing. If this device was to come out at, let's say, $700, between $700 and $800, it will be cheaper than anything that Samsung has comparable to those specs that I just mentioned, and cheaper than the Pixel 6 Pro, which I just did a review on. This makes this device, when it comes out, is going to make Motorola a competitor within the premium devices. But not only that, because as I said, Motorola is aggressively moving forward into the market to try to grab more of a market share. And with that, there's another leak of another device that might be coming out next month. This one is called the Motorola Edge. This device is expected to have a 6.55 inch FHD Plus screen, 144 refresh rates, two 50 megapixel cameras, a 2 megapixel depth camera on the back, a 32 megapixel selfie camera, a 4020 milliamp hour battery. It's going to come in 3 different configurations when it comes to RAM and storage. The first one's going to be 6 gigs of RAM with 128 gigs of storage. Then it's going to move up to 8 gigs of RAM to 128 gigs of storage, and 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage. So this gives us an idea of what Motorola is going to be launching in the future and how they're planning on slowly moving their way up in the market and most likely solidify that third spot behind Samsung and Apple. But I am looking forward to seeing these devices from Motorola and seeing how Motorola continues to grow and if they can continue to grow, because right now it really feels hard to find devices that are premium when you are out looking for phones, right? You have the Pixel line of phones that Google just came out with, and you have Samsung, and then technically that's it when it comes to premium brands of phones. And I'm talking about Android, I'm talking about Apple. Apple's in its own separate category by itself. So having Motorola in the market with a reliable device will give consumers more choices, and by having more choices, it means more fighting between the companies to grab those consumers. And if that's the case, that means that pricing will come down in order to try to get those consumers. So the more competition, the better it is for you and me. What do you think about Motorola becoming the third largest OEM? And were you expecting it? Is this something that you thought was ever going to happen? Let me know in the comment section. That is it for me. Go ahead and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. Go ahead and hit that bell so you can be alerted every time we have new videos. And thank you very much for watching.